Have you ever wondered why someone earning $40,000 a year can end up wealthier than someone making only six figures? It sounds crazy, right? But here's the shocking truth. Wealth isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. And how much you keep is determined exactly by how you live your lifestyle. So what's the secret to keeping more? Trust me, it's not some complicated investment strategy or winning the lottery. It's something far simpler, yet incredibly powerful. Living cheap. Listen carefully. By the end of this video, not only will you see why living cheap can easily make you rich, but if you stay until the end, I'll break down the exact steps to reap these rewards without having to sacrifice your own lifestyle needs. Now, before you think, oh great, another lecture on cutting out Starbucks lattes, let me stop you. This isn't about depriving yourself. It's about unlocking the one habit that could completely transform your financial future. I promise that you'll not only see why living cheap is the ultimate wealth-building hack, but you'll also know exactly how to use it to create the life you've always dreamed of. So without wasting any more time, let's dive in. But first, let's start with a story. Meet Sarah. Sarah's a school teacher making around $50,000 a year. And across town is Jake, a tech consultant earning over $120,000 annually. At first glance, you'd assume Jake is wealthier, right? But here's the twist. 5 years later, Sarah has $100,000 in investments, while Jake is left drowning in debt. So what's the difference? Sarah lives cheap, not in a miserable, penny-pinching way, but with intention and strategy. Jake, on the other hand, spends like there's no tomorrow, upgrading his lifestyle with every paycheck and promotion. And here's the kicker. Sarah's approach is the blueprint anyone can follow to build wealth, no matter their income level. Let me break it down in some easy-to-follow steps. Step 1, the psychological power of living cheap. Picture this. You're scrolling on social media, bombarded by luxury cars, designer outfits, and lavish vacations. It's tempting to think, I need those things to feel successful. But here's the reality. True wealth isn't about what you show off. It's about what you build behind the scenes. Living cheap shifts your mindset. It teaches you to find value in things that matter and ignore the noise of consumerism. Take Warren Buffett, for example, one of the richest people in the world, yet he still lives in the modest house he bought in 1958. Why? Because wealth isn't about appearances. It's about freedom. Now, I've only revealed step 1. I'm just getting started. Listen carefully. What I'm about to share next will be the biggest underlying secret most people fail to realize when it comes to living a modest lifestyle. Subscribe and give this video a thumbs up for updates on all of our upcoming videos. Step 2, the power of compounding savings. When Sarah saved $500 a month, it didn't seem like much at first. But over 10 years, thanks to compound interest, that small amount grew to over $80,000. How living cheap creates wealth faster than you think. Living cheap gives you a superpower, extra money to invest. And when you invest, your money starts working for you, building wealth while you sleep. Now, let's talk about that daily $5 cup of coffee I mentioned at the very beginning. Seems harmless, right? But if you saved and invested that $5 every day at an 8% return, you'd have over $150,000 in 20 years. Now imagine cutting back on multiple small expenses. The results are staggering. What is the lifestyle inflation trap? Jake, on the other hand, fell into the classic trap of lifestyle inflation. As his income grew, so did his spending. Bigger house, fancier car, expensive dinners. Living cheap is the antidote to this trap. By keeping your expenses low, even as your income grows, you create a gap. And that gap, that's your wealth-building machine. Step 3. The emotional freedom of living cheap. Now, I want to talk about the peace of mind Sarah felt from living a modest and simple lifestyle. Sarah wasn't just saving money. She was buying peace of mind. When her car broke down unexpectedly, she didn't panic. She had a savings cushion, built from years of intentional living. Compare that to Jake, who was one emergency away from financial disaster. The stress of living paycheck to paycheck, it's crippling. Living cheap doesn't mean deprivation. It means freedom. Freedom to handle life's surprises without fear. Freedom to pursue your dreams without financial chains holding you back. But watching this video alone is not enough. If you've been watching our videos on financial freedom, you'll know that this is just the beginning. And financial independence starts with the mindset before anything else. Make sure to go back on the channel and watch those videos after this, and as always, subscribe to the channel. Step 4. Practical steps to start living cheap today. Here's the best part. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Small, intentional changes can add up to massive results. Let's dive into a few practical steps. Number 1. Track every dollar. You can't control what you don't measure. Start by tracking every dollar you spend. You'll be amazed at how many unnecessary expenses you can cut without sacrificing happiness. Number 2. Prioritize what truly matters. Living cheap doesn't mean giving up everything you enjoy. It means spending on what brings you value and cutting what doesn't. Love your morning coffee? Keep it, but maybe skip the fancy gym membership you never use. Number 3. Master the art of delayed gratification. The ultra-wealthy understand one thing. Patience pays. Instead of splurging on the latest gadget, wait a few months. You'll often find you don't even want it anymore. Number 4. Automate your savings. Set up automatic transfers to your savings or investment account. By paying yourself first, you remove the temptation to overspend. Step 5. The long-term payoff of living cheap. Fast forward 15 years, Sarah is now financially independent. She's still teaching because she loves it, not because she needs the paycheck. Her investments generate enough income to cover her living expenses. Jake, meanwhile, is stuck in a cycle of debt, working long hours at a job he hates just to keep up with his inflated lifestyle. This is the power of living cheap. It's not about sacrifice. It's about designing a life where you control your money, not the other way around. The freedom to choose your own path. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you don't have to work anymore. You might still choose to work on your own terms, but it's not a necessity. That's the magic of financial independence, and living cheap is the fastest way to get there. When you live below your means and invest consistently, you build what's called FU money. It's the cushion that lets you walk away from toxic jobs, take a sabbatical, or finally start the business you've always dreamed of without fear of financial ruin. Listen carefully, because what you're about to find out next will be the ultimate payoff once you finally start using these tips in your own day-to-day life. Just make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Step 6. Overcoming the stigma of living cheap. Now let's talk about what all the critics might say. Some people might call you cheap, frugal, or even boring. But let me ask you this. Would you rather impress people now or secure your future? The truth is, those who mock frugal living are often the ones secretly stressed about their finances. Living cheap isn't about judgment. It's about priorities. The power of hitting financial milestones early. Living cheap accelerates your ability to hit key financial milestones. Paying off debt. Imagine being debt-free in your 30s or 40s while others are still paying off credit cards or student loans. Buying a home outright. Instead of taking on a massive mortgage, living cheap allows you to save for a significant down payment, or even buy a home in cash. Early retirement. You can retire years, if not decades, before your peers, enjoying a life where you call the shots. Every dollar you save today is a step closer to these milestones, and once you hit them, the financial freedom you gain is life-changing. Now, since you made it this far, let me leave you with this. Every dollar you save today is a step toward freedom tomorrow. Living cheap isn't just a financial strategy. It's a mindset shift that empowers you to live life on your own terms. Imagine waking up one day knowing you're financially secure, no debt, no stress, just freedom. That's the life Sarah built, and it's the life you could build too. So the next time you're tempted to splurge, ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to the life I want? At first glance, living cheap might feel like a sacrifice. You might look around and see others spending lavishly, enjoying short-term pleasures. But when you zoom out and see the bigger picture, the payoff becomes undeniable. Living cheap gives you control over your finances, your time, and ultimately your life. It's not about deprivation. It's about designing a life that's rich in freedom, security, and purpose. So the question isn't why live cheap. It's why wouldn't you? Every choice you make today is shaping the future you live tomorrow. Choose wisely. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how you live. Start living cheap today and watch your wealth grow. If this video inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who needs to hear this message. And if you want more tips on building wealth and living intentionally, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. In fact, if managing your finances is something you truly desire in 2025, we've created a step-by-step guide to financial freedom in 5 simple steps. Just click the video on the screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.